Hey guys, and welcome to the Weebo and Director Show. I'm Tim, also known as Weebo. You may know me from Pro Wrestling Unlimited, right here on YouTube and all other social media channels. We've also got John.
Hey guys, I'm John, also known as Director 47, and you guys might know me from nowhere yet. So, just a little backstory on us. This is our true first real episode of our Weebone Director podcast, and we've known each other for about 15 years now, give or take. I mean, we just spent the last 20 minutes trying to do math and found it difficult, so surprised we actually graduated high school, which is where we met. Isn't that right, Tim?
Yeah, in very, very small Oakhurst, California.
Rural as it gets.
I mean, that's what? Not even. How many people live in Oakhurst?
I think it was, well, I think when we were back over there it was like 3,000 give or take, and then if you counted core school, maybe another 1,500 people.
So,
So it's still
as of
under 6,000.
2010, it was 2,800 population. So,
Dang.
if you want to know how small our high school was, it took like 4 towns just to get enough kids to make the high school.
Yeah, I think they didn't actually open up the second high school until what was it? 2 years after we left, after we graduated
It was
was when
2000,
the
I think it was the 2009 2010 school
yeah.
year when we graduated in
Yeah.
'07.
Yeah, so 2 years after is when they opened that up, and that's when they finally had enough people. Even then, it was a
Oh, a very small
small
school,
classes. I mean, we had our graduating class was about 300, if
something like
that.
that. Sounds about right.
Yeah, where you actually knew everybody.
No, when he says you actually knew everybody, like he's not kidding. You knew everybody, like not even a joke.
Yeah, everybody from your class, and at least two classes below you, you knew everybody.
Yeah, because as of right now, the number of kids at Yosemite High School where we graduated from, there's 690 kids in the entire school, and then
Oh wow!
that other school that John mentioned that they had opened up 2 years later only has 200 kids.
Wow,
Yeah,
I could have sworn they would have had more by now. I mean, it's
that
been a
was as
while.
of the beginning of the 2018 school year.
Damn, that's gotta suck.
Mm, I don't know. It's supposed to be like one of their more. It's supposed to be one of those high tech high schools or whatever. I don't know. I don't know how you can be high
That's
tech when
what
you
I
barely
heard.
get Wi-Fi up there.
Yeah, well, I mean, they probably pushed fiber up into there. I
Probably.
wish we would have had something high tech, considering the field I'm in now. Definitely wish we would have had some tech classes then. But hey, it is what it is.
So, I mean, a little
You
background on
know.
us, just so you guys know who you're listening to. Again, my name is Tim. I run Pro Wrestling Unlimited right here on YouTube. We've got a website, Pro Wrestling, pwunlimited.net, where basically I give people that love pro wrestling all the news of stuff that happens on the television shows of WWE, Impact Wrestling, Ring of Honor, and I bring you all the backstage news as well.
And a little backstory on, or information on who I am. I'm John, and I'm actually an information security professional. And currently do not have my cybersecurity podcast up and running yet, but that's in the works and soon to come. And I'll definitely share that out for those that are interested in that. But I do share my trials and learning path and pretty much security news on Twitter at Cyber Lowdown.
Awesome. So basically, what this podcast is going to be, we're really into video games, movies, television shows, basically, I guess you can say it, nerdy things, as some may like to say. So,
Sounds about right.
yeah, trust me, if they would have saw some of the people we used to hang out with, they'd be like, oh yeah, them some nerds.
They weren't necessarily the popular crowd. I mean, we mixed with some of the popular people, but um, we definitely had some very
Like
unpopular
we
friends
said,
as well.
there was so little people, at our high school because I said the 690, that was as of 2018. There was even less kids when we went there. So it was like, yeah, there was the popular crowd and the not popular crowd, but they all intermingled. for the most part. So, this is our first episode, and one big thing we wanted to talk about was not Endgame, since John has not seen it yet, but
And
another
please don't give me shit about it.
but another Disney-related thing in Disney Plus. So if you guys are unaware, Disney Plus is going to be Disney's new streaming service. It's supposed to launch later this year, and it's going to launch at a $6.99 a month price tag. I think there's a cheaper way, like it'll be cheaper if you get the year, but I can't remember exactly how much the annual price is going to be. But upon Disney, Bob Iger of Disney and all them announcing everything that's going to be on this Disney Plus streaming service, there's a lot. And I know, go for it.
Which I just want to point out that by a lot, we're not just talking about a lot of movies and videos. I just want to say there are a lot of streaming services, and that's just disgusting. Like at this point, with everything you have, that is one thing that gets under my skin is we used to pay for cable, we used to pay for dish or satellite, and we switched to these streaming services to save money. But now everybody's like, oh, I want to be Netflix, so let me start my own. And now you got $7 here, $10 there, $15 there, and now I'm paying more than I was with satellite service.
Exactly.
It's ridiculous.
And I mean, CBS started theirs, I think it was either last year or the year before, with their CBS All Access. NBC is going to be coming out with one for NBC Universal. And now basically we've got the Disney Plus service, which has everything that Disney owns, plus everything they just acquired in the 21st Century Fox lineup. So not only are you going to be getting like all the Disney Channel original movies, a bunch of stuff that came from ABC, you're also getting every episode of Simpsons, every episode of Malcolm in the Middle, everything that they acquired from the Discovery Channel, National Geographic. So there's a lot. I mean, heck, Disney now owns Avatar.
Yeah, and we were just talking about that. That is the highest grossing movie of all time. And now that Disney owns the world, essentially, as they continue to grow, they when that sequel comes out, I mean, they're going to bank on that like nothing.
Oh, yeah. And just one thing, this wasn't Disney buying 21st Century Fox. They stated, now they could say whatever they want about this, but their whole stance on it was, we didn't just buy it to say we owned everything. One of the main reasons they bought 21st Century Fox was to have a more robust library for the Disney Plus service. They wanted to have as much variety on this service as possible, but they did state that there's not going to be any mature or R-rated. No, I don't know if you can, because there's some mature things with The Simpsons, but there's not going to be anything like R-rated on the Disney Plus service. They state that anything 21st Century Fox that is R-rated will be put on Hulu. Now, here's the interesting thing. With Disney buying Fox, they also acquired Fox's percentage of Hulu. Disney now owns 60% of Hulu. The other 30% is owned by NBC. NBC is looking to sell that possibly to Disney. So if Disney buys that other 30%, that means they own 100% of Hulu, which is actually perfect for them because Disney Plus can be everything that is family friendly, PG-13, TV-14 and below. Everything that is adult only content, they can put right on Hulu. And who knows, maybe they do a package deal where what's the base price without TV for Hulu?
I think it's like $11 because right now I pay $45 for the live TV package, which includes all of Hulu plus live TV.
So $20 a month, you can get Disney Plus and Hulu, and you get everything that they own. Basically,
I'm gonna assume then that to get live TV plus everything they own is probably going to be an extra $10 since it's already like an extra $10 on top of the regular Hulu.
Right. So
that might not be bad.
So if you go with the $11 for Hulu, the $6.99, $7 for Disney Plus, if they do like a package deal, they'll say, oh, you save a couple dollars. So let's say $19.99 for both services, both Hulu and Disney Plus. But here's my one question before we get into what's going to be on Disney Plus. If Disney owns Hulu, the big thing for Hulu is next day brand new TV shows. Do you think they will still do that from networks not owned by Disney?
So I want to I want to say yes, they'll still do it because Hulu is its own company. Even if Disney owns it, Disney's going to be the parent company,
Right.
and they're still going to have contracts. Now,
Exactly.
it is in the network's best interest to keep that. Considering, I mean, if you consider the fact that NBC, okay, they have a stake, which would be, I believe, AT&T owns NBC, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No,
But
AT&T merged with, I think it was Time Warner and Warner Brothers. So they now own also Turner Broadcasting, which is TNT and TBS, and what AT&T owns is basically like it's called Warner Media.
yeah, but didn't they have a stake in Hulu?
NBC Universal has the only other 30%.
Because I got reports here that said AT&T held a 10% stake in the streaming service.
They may have sold it. I'm looking it up right now. Let's see. Good old trusty Google. Let's see. Ownership. As of March 2019, Disney now owns 60% with Comcast. Formerly, okay, so Comcast owns 30%. AT&T formerly owned 10% stake in Hulu via its Warner Media subsidiary, but sold that stake back to the actual Hulu LLC in April.
Oh, okay.
Which ended up going to Fox and Disney.
Okay.
Yeah, so as of right now, technically, the Walt Disney Company is the parent company of Hulu, but they don't have 100% of the company yet. If they buy the 30% from Comcast, then they'll have 100%.
Okay. See, now back to my point then. I still think that it's in their best interest to have these contracts because Disney and Hulu pays a percentage to have those displayed there next day.
Right.
Now, what we are seeing though is since everybody and their mother wants to have a streaming service, you have CBS, you have a few others that are throwing down their own access pass, and it's a small little charge, $5 here, whatever it may be. That's what we could be seeing. Like each network has its exclusive shows that people love. Like you might have the Blacklist over here, you might have NCIS over here, whatever it may be, and people, they religiously watch that, so they would pay for just that network's access pass to see these shows on demand. Then again, I also see that there might be people going backwards to a cable or satellite era with DVR or some sort of live TV with DVR. So Hulu, once again, Hulu has DVR capabilities. So who needs next day on demand episodes when you can just set them to record via Hulu and watch them the next day?
Right. And then like with you have the Hulu Live TV, so technically you get all those channels anyways.
I get all those channels. I get the DVR, the cloud DVR portion, so I set to record whatever I want and I watch it when I can and from anywhere, tablet, phone, whatever it may be.
Which is very convenient if you really think about it.
Yeah, I still think they need to up their exclusives.
Their originals, you mean?
Yeah, so I do like Castle Rock, and I think that's about the only thing I've watched there. I know my wife's watched the Mindy Project, so she liked that. Man, I don't know. I think Deadbeat's on there too, and I think that's an original for it, which wasn't bad. But Netflix has a lot more going for it, especially because they have movies, exclusive movies or exclusives, not just Netflix originals created by that, but they have exclusive contracts to distribute and stream
Right.
certain foreign media, uh, anime being one of them. So, like, I personally enjoyed the Godzilla animated miniseries. I also liked a few foreign shows there that were great. You don't really get that with the Hulu portion. I personally don't watch much Hulu. I find myself it's Prime, HBO, and Netflix. That is me. Um, that's where I usually sit. My wife and the kids watch more of the Hulu, and once again, Disney. They are going to pick up a lot of families who are
Oh
going
yeah.
to tack on Hulu bundle, because I was paying for um, a Disney thing at one point. Then I canceled that. And then when you had the like DirecTV or the Dish, you got the Disney sign on for free using their single sign on.
Right.
Um, but everything I've had has been geared around my kids pretty much for the live TV. My wife and the kids, that's it. Me, I usually just stream whatever when I have time.
Now, speaking of, Disney and everything, their main topic is Disney Plus, and I think they're projecting that they think they will have anywhere from 60 million to 90 million subscribers worldwide by 2024 for Disney Plus.
Now,
they
how
already
does that compare to Netflix subscribers?
I have that right here. I'm trying to see where the Netflix comparison is.
I know fourth quarter of 2018 they had over 148 million, so definitely not even close.
Well, you're not going to be close within the first 3 to 4 years because you got to, start the service. You need to prove to people that the service is worth it. You can say you have all this stuff, but if people are like, yeah, you have all that stuff, but what are you going to give us that we've never seen before? What new stuff are you going to also give us? Because Netflix also gives us originals. So you have to build that audience up. You have to build that trust that you're going to give them good shows, not just a bunch of stuff they've already seen. Because you can go to Netflix for that and see old episodes of a million different TV shows. Maybe not a million, but thousands.
Right, so they're projecting that you said 6 something million. Now,
60.
is this 60
60
million?
to 90 million by 2024.
Okay. I can see that happening since Hulu already has over 25 million subscribers and it's on its own. So if you take a percentage of those, we're going to bundle in the Disney portion, that just transfers over into Disney subscribers.
Now, we're only speculating that they could bundle with Hulu. We don't know. They haven't announced that for a fact. So that's just a speculation on our part. Another speculation that I can think they can do as well would be also bundling Disney Plus with their own ESPN Plus service as well.
Which isn't that expensive. I think it's like $5 a month.
$4.99.
Yeah.
And it's the exclusive home of the UFC. So here's the thing.
Which
sidetracking a little bit. UFC is no longer on regular pay-per-view. Did you know that?
Wait. It's not regular pay-per-view, so
in the United States, UFC is no longer on traditional pay-per-view. ESPN is now paying the UFC roughly $200 million a year to run all pay-per-views on ESPN Plus. But here's the catch. You have to be a subscriber of ESPN Plus at $4.99 a year. Then
at how much?
$4.99 a month, not a year.
Okay, I was like, damn, that's cheap.
But then you still have to pay the $50 or $60 that you would normally pay on pay-per-view to Disney Plus or ESPN Plus to get the pay-per-view that month.
Right, so it's more of a ripoff now because at least you had fight nights, which were free on Fox Sports.
Well, you still get those.
Because they're only showing like 1 or 2 free ESPN fights, and then non-pay-per-view fights that aren't showing for free on ESPN are only accessible via ESPN Plus.
Not necessarily.
And then you still have the pay-per-view ones.
they're still going to do a good amount of free fights on regular ESPN as well.
Okay.
So Disney's got that. They know how to do that kind of stuff. So that now leads me to think, are we going to get any live content? They haven't announced. Could we get any live content with Disney Plus? Is my question. And if so, what kind of live content? Because we already know all the sports stuff that would be live. We'll go to ESPN Plus, the UFC. I think they've got some. I don't know if they have soccer. I know NBC Sports has a deal with soccer.
ESPN does show some soccer.
NBC Sports also has the exclusive rights now to the Indy cars. Like they took all IndyCar races from ESPN. And so with ESPN Plus already showing that Disney knows how to set up a service with live broadcasting, I'm kind of interested to see if they would ever integrate the live portion over to Disney Plus. But speaking of Disney Plus and everything we're going to get on that, we're going to run down for you guys exactly what all they've announced so far, and starting off with all the Star Wars stuff.
Which alone is a massive library in itself.
Jon Favreau is directing and producing a new show called The Mandalorian. Not much has been stated on what the show's going to be. It is between the time frame of this show is between the fall of the Empire and the rise of the First Order, and it follows a bounty hunter.
Doesn't that have Nick Nolte in it?
I'm not sure, but I know Gina Carano is in the show.
Yeah,
they have
supposed to have Nick Nolte.
They have hinted that a main character in the show could be Sabine from Star Wars Rebels, but they've only hinted and not confirmed that. So also, talking Star Wars, there's going to be a Rogue One preview series. Live action Rogue One prequel series, not preview, prequel series.
Isn't that centered around Diego Luna's character,
yes.
Cassian Andor?
Yes.
Okay.
Also, all the Star Wars movies will be on Disney Plus, of course. Plus,
now the seasons, the Clone Wars seasons, weren't you talking about?
That's what
earlier?
I was getting to finish off the Star Wars stuff. The final season of the Star Wars, The Clone Wars, season 7. So back in 2013, season 6 aired on Cartoon Network, along with all the other seasons of Clone Wars, and the Cartoon Network just canceled. They didn't get a proper ending. Huh?
Did they ever give a reason why they canceled that?
Not that I know of. But it was basically, they canceled it before. It was considered an unfinished project. Like, they had storylines all mapped out, and they just got canceled. Well, I think it was like Comic-Con last year. Disney announced, hey, we're going to give you a 12-episode 7th season to just tie up the whole series, to finish out the storyline.
I think that alone is going to bring in subscribers, because I wanted to finish that, and the drop of the series just, that pissed me off.
Right.
Just like every other show that gets dropped here and there, which I will always go back to this. Screw you, Fox. Firefly should have never ended.
No. So
But
now,
I digress.
going forward with more stuff we're getting, that was all the Star Wars stuff we know of. Now the Marvel stuff. Now, as someone who's already seen Endgame, I'm going to not say much about some of this, because some of these...
Once again, I haven't seen it.
Some of these new shows could tie in to Endgame. So...
Which I have heard of what coming up. The first Marvel that they've announced is the Loki prequel series,
right,
which I am personally looking forward to. And as far as the mythology, the comics and everything, Loki's one of my favorite villains, and definitely would love to see a backstory on Loki himself.
So, going forward, we also have a show based on, it's called WandaVision, based on Scarlet Witch, whose real name is Wanda in the comics, and Vision in their romance, apparently. There is word that this show could be set somehow in the 1950s. Which, if that is the case, actually wouldn't fit in canon of the MCU, Because in Age of Ultron, isn't that when Vision was created?
Possibly. I mean, looking at this list that we're going to move into with all these Marvel series, it seems they're moving into a lot of series for that versus movies
Well, because
and whatnot.
what I think is going to happen, depending on how long, how many seasons each of these series is going to be, will be the bridge and the gap between the Infinity series, which was the last 22 movies, and
Or
whatever this
Saga,
next
Infinity Saga.
Infinity Saga, right? And whatever this next saga is going to be.
I agree with that. I mean, if you look at all the Netflix Marvel series that we had and how they tied in, they would they weren't really big important aspects to the story, but they had fillers
Well, none of the Netflix Marvel
between
shows
all
were
the.
canon with the MCU.
No, but they were still, some of them were still like Shield and all that. They, as far as
Right.
the, if you knew the comics, if you knew the history of it, it still did tie in itself as far as what Marvel was doing, but it left lacking is what I'm
Exactly.
saying. And so I believe that along with the way you're heading here, what you were saying, they are going to be key fillers this time around into the story. Now, you could go see their new movies, the new saga, and all the movies in that saga, and not have to worry about seeing any of these. But if you really want to dive deep down into the universe, um, this is how you're going to do it, and it's going to tie in directly, just like Star Wars. Every Star Wars IP that has come out ties in to itself into every other one.
Right. So then rounding out
So
the Marvel stuff, we've also got a show called The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which of course focuses on Sebastian Stan's Winter Soldier, Anthony Mackie's Falcon. We've got a series about the Hawkeye. It's just called Hawkeye, is all we know so far. There's
which Jeremy Renner is also going to be reprising his
Yep.
role as Hawkeye, which is great. This is another thing that people might be asking. Hey, usually when you move movie characters into series, you don't get your AAA actor in a series. You lose him,
Well,
you have to cast somebody else, and then people are like, "Well, he doesn't fit. This is what we're used to." Um, but having him in this is going to be great. You have the original actor for that character.
now with you saying that, we still when they went from doing the Marvel movies to Agents of Shield, they still kept Clark Gregg as Phil Coulson between the movies and the show.
Yes, but if you look at named like
No, you're
top,
right. You're right.
yeah, like, there's a big difference. And I mean, Disney's large enough
No,
with
I mean,
Marvel where they can afford to pay their salaries here. I mean, it's like lately you've been seeing a lot of actors go like AAA actors go series on Netflix, go
right.
series on HBO, because these companies have the bank to pay that.
I mean, you want a perfect example? DC and WB. I mean, you've got the Flash TV show, which I can't remember who plays Flash there, but then you've got a completely different actor playing the Flash in Justice League and the upcoming Flash movie.
Yep. And see, that's where I think that if people already like the Flash in the series, they should have taken him into the movies. It's easier to take
But here's the
a
thing.
TV show actor into a movie.
Here's the thing, though. They call the WB DC shows the Arrowverse, which I don't know if they can still call it that once Arrow ends after this next season. But that's not in canon with the movies. When, Aquaman, Batman versus Superman, Man of Steel. So, I mean, having a different actor in that regard is kind of okay, since it's supposed to be a different storyline.
Well, then, how about a good example is your Spider-Man? Didn't they say that that wasn't necessarily 100% tied into the MCU the way it was working? They were going off in their own direction with
Yes,
with the
yes and
sequel.
no. Because Marvel Studios doesn't fully own the rights to the Spider-Man movies. It's still with Sony. So technically, they have a lot of say, but they don't have the final say. So if Sony wants to go off in their own direction and do something different that loosely ties in, they can do that since they still have the actual, I don't know for how much longer, but Sony still does have the movie rights to the character Spider-Man and the
I
Spider-Man
still
universe.
I still think Sony should just stop being proud and do whatever Marvel says. Hey, we own it. We're gonna make the money off of this. You tell us what to do. We'll give you a percentage. Boom. That's
Well, I
it.
mean,
They don't have to sell it and just let Marvel guide the cinematic direction of it, and that's it.
right, I mean, if you saw Homecoming, that was very influenced by Marvel Studios and the MCU storylines.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So going forward, there's a very interesting show coming to Disney Plus. It's a new show called Marvel's What If, and it's described as basically what if this happened instead of this in the comic series? Like, what if Peggy Carter had been given the super soldier serum instead of Steve Rogers?
Interesting.
What if Howard Stark actually designed the Iron Man suit before his son
Weird.
Tony Stark? Those are two
Huh.
examples they gave.
That now is this just going to be each episode they're gonna do a what if and then portray it,
I
or
have no clue. All that we know says the series will be overseen by Kevin Feige and will feature a voice work from some MCU stars. The series will explore alternate versions of the MCU where key events played out a little differently. And then they gave the two examples with Peggy Carter and Howard Stark.
huh? Nice. And then, of course, last on the Marvel aspect of what's going to be added to that library is all your MCU movies.
Yep.
And I mean, self-explanatory that moving forward for the next saga, as they get released to Blu-ray, they're going to be pushed out onto their streaming service probably immediately after.
And I wonder if, as we talked about earlier with Sony owning the rights to Spider-Man, will the Spider-Man movies come to Disney Plus or not? Probably not the older ones with Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, but will the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies come to Disney Plus?
Where do they reside right now?
Nowhere. I don't even think. I don't. Well, I think the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies are on Netflix. I don't know about the Andrew Garfield ones, and I don't think Homecoming is on Netflix.
No, it's not on Netflix. Interesting.
So
You
then
could
going.
probably find everything on Prime though, but
Oh
for a
yeah, you
price.
can get anything on Amazon Prime because with Amazon Prime, it's just you've got to isn't it you've got to rent it for however much
Yeah,
that
so,
is.
right. If they don't have it on their Prime list, you either buy it or you rent it.
Right. So I know. I mean, I know you can get Homecoming that way. You can also get it from like iTunes and Google Play movies and stuff like that. Probably even YouTube movies. But now we talked everything Star Wars, MCU, now everything Disney. So Disney has a show. I'm going to run through a lot of this really fast. So there's one
I
show
say
here.
just list these.
It's called Book of Enchantment. It's a live action series based off of novels of the same name that actually follows different villains like the Evil Queen, Maleficent, and the Beast. It should be very interesting. It's like a how was the books described? Because I read something about the books recently. It's like if the villains were portrayed in not such a bad way, I think it is. So they have one show that was actually produced by CBS, but CBS did not pick up for their CBS All Access. It's called Diary of a Female President.
Yep, which is a Cuban American girl who one day becomes president of the United States. I believe it's Robin Shore. Is show running with Jane, the Virgin Star, Gina Rodriguez as the executive producing. And
Going
then they
forward,
also going forward we have Don Quixote, which is an interesting addition to this list, which is a famous story of the man who killed Don Quixote's finally seeing the light of day, and Disney is taking a crack at it from the Cervantes novel, which is nice.
One thing that interests me here is a remake of Father of the Bride. Now, most people don't know the original Father of the Bride in '91 is actually a remake as well, but the original Father of the Bride starred Martin. What's his name? That's on the tip of my tongue.
Beats me. I haven't actually seen the original one.
You've never seen Father of the Bride?
No. I've seen the '91, the comedy itself. I'm talking about the 1950 original.
I've never seen the original either. I'm talking about the original. Steve Martin. And then Kimberly Williams Paisley was the daughter, the bride. Funny as hell movies. Even the second one was funny, but Disney is doing a remake because I think they got the rights to that with the Fox stuff. So going forward, some other stuff.
We have Flora and Ulysses. So Disney's actually adapting a popular children's book into their streaming service. Flora and Ulysses follows misadventures of a grumpy youngster and their superpowered squirrel. Superpowered squirrel.
Interesting.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's like Doug and Quail Man.
Doug and Quail Man. Wow.
See, that's what we grew up on.
Heck yeah. So going forward, they've also got a show called High Fidelity, which is being... Well, actually, no. Yeah, it's a show being adapted from a movie and novel. And then there's also going to be a High School musical.
Please end it now. End it now.
Now, this was supposed to go to Disney Channel, and it was supposed to end up being a Disney Channel original movie, High School Musical 4. But now they are pushing it to Disney Plus as High School Musical the Musical, which makes me believe that it's a remake of the original.
Okay, so you just mentioned the Disney original movies and then the channel itself, and now we're talking about it's going to be on Disney Plus. So moving forward, do you think we're going to have all your Disney original movies being pushed out on the Disney Plus? I mean, no, I think that would essentially take away from the channel.
I think you'll still get Disney Channel original movies. They really have toned back the number of movies that they do on Disney Channel every year. At one point, they were doing a new movie a month. Now it's like anywhere from 2 to 4 a year, if that. I know the next big one they have coming out this summer is the Descendants 3 movie. And then there was one other that they announced, but I can't remember exactly what it is. But going forward with Disney Plus, 2 sequels. Well, no, I take that back. So Honey, I Shrunk the Kids was at one time turned into a TV spinoff for, I think it was on ABC, I believe. But now they are just...
Did you actually ever watch it?
Huh?
Did you actually ever watch the spinoff?
The TV series? I saw like 1 or 2 episodes. It was meh. But they're redoing the original movie Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Which is gonna... Unless
they have Rick Moranis.
I doubt it.
Rick Moranis everybody wants him back.
That's the thing about these remakes. It's like everyone's going to remember the original. Now, here's the thing. With like we didn't know the original 1950s cast of Father of the Bride. But we know the 91 cast. Yet Father of the Bride is not on something like a Netflix. So a lot of kids nowadays may not have never seen Father of the Bride. But with movies like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, that is on Netflix, which me and my kids watched all 3 last weekend.
Great movies.
People nowadays are going to remember these movies because of that. They're like, oh yeah, we just watched this on Netflix. So they're going to remember the original cast. And that's going to really hurt the new movies because it's going to be like, oh, well, you can't live up to the original cast. When back in the day, when they were rebooting a bunch of movies, it's because a lot of people then never knew that it was it is or was a reboot. So they had nothing to really base it off of because they hadn't seen it.
Right. Well, in our day, we didn't have actual like streaming services. Us growing
Exactly.
up, it was, hey, whatever's at the Blockbuster or the Hollywood Video down the store, or your mom and pop's rental place. Okay, go pick up a VHS and pop it into your. Oh, there goes my cereal.
I mean, did you know the movie Mr. Deeds with Adam Sandler's a remake?
No.
Yeah, it's a remake from a movie from like the 40s or 50s called called
Hold on.
Mr. Deeds Goes to Town.
That sounds totally wrong. Just
From 1936
yes,
is
but
the original.
listen to what you just said.
Mr. Deeds Goes to Town.
Mm.
Now, it might
Yeah,
sound
my
dirty in
mom,
2019, but it didn't sound dirty probably in 1936.
about 90% of the things we say now that sound dirty, we're not even dirty then.
Exactly.
Not even close.
But that's the thing. It's like when we were growing up, or even when our parents were growing up, they may have been rebooting movies, and no one knew they were reboots because there was no way to have, still be watching those originals. Like I said, we've got Netflix. My kids are still watching those original Honey, I Shrunk the Kids movies from the late 80s.
Right. You also have to think, though, we're talking at least a 40-year gap between the Father of the Bride, 41-year gap there.
Exactly.
And then the remake of Mr. Deeds, that's even a larger gap. So you're talking more than 1-2 generations on some of these. I mean, 91 to now.
Well, I mean, if the
Yeah,
movie doesn't come
that's
out,
almost a 30-year
that's what I was going to
difference.
say, yeah.
So it is, but these are iconic movies that
Our generation
Netflix,
knows.
right? Well, the people that pay for Netflix are the ones that saw those. So the parents and all that, they're the ones that pay for it. They're the ones that are going to watch it. So their kids are going to watch it because they're going to have Netflix. They're going to have Hulu. They're going to have all these things. Spoiled brats.
Right. So going forward, they also have a live action remake. I think it's a series. I could be wrong. Could be a movie based off Lady and the Tramp. Which should be kind of interesting. Disney's in that.
You said live action. Are they gonna be pulling their same animation techniques from the new Lion King and Dumbo?
I believe from the image I saw, it's going to be real dogs and stuff.
Okay.
Basically like Homeward Bound, when they had the two dogs and the cat, and they made them look like they were talking and this and that. But it'll be better because technology's better now.
Right. Okay.
So going forward, Disney's got a show called Magic Camp, which is going to be directed by Mark Waters and written by Dan Greger. It was slated to be in theaters in 2018. There's a couple of movies like this that were made and were going to go to theaters, but then Disney said, you know what? We're going to wait and put it on our streaming service instead, and this is one of them.
Okay, so it's kind of like what Apple did with their streaming service, where they went ahead and we're going to invest a crap ton of money. I mean, here they didn't necessarily invest specifically for this. They decided some point after that, hey, we're not actually going to put this in theaters. We're going to throw it here. Apple went ahead and they knew what they were doing. They were like, we're going to invest in original content ahead of time so that when we announce it, we have a massive lineup that's going to pull people in.
Right,
plus, you already have all the Apple bandwagon people.
Exactly, because there's a couple of movies, which we'll get to another one here in a second, that already made and done and, fully produced and everything. They're just waiting on what to do with it, and they ended up pushing it to Disney+. But an interesting thing here is a TV series based off the Mighty Ducks.
Man, I don't know.
I mean, it was a great series of movies, but it's like, in 2019, do we really need a Mighty Ducks series?
I don't think it'll work as a series. It's just, you don't get the same feeling that they have to achieve and win this tournament. What are you going to do? Every season's a new tournament?
Exactly, and here's another one that kids will love it, but I don't know how well it'll work as a TV show opposed to a movie, is a Monsters, Inc. television series slated for 2020. The series will be set 6 months after the original film and it'll be basically Mike and Sully in Monstropolis, and I think based off of things that I've heard, Sully's now in charge of Monsters Inc. He took Waternoose's spot after Waternoose was arrested at the end of Monsters Inc. And it's about them redoing Monsters Inc. and now making it about laughter instead of scares. But it's like the movies were so perfect as a movie. I think turning movies like this into a TV show,
Well,
it may
there's
end up
others.
getting. Go for it.
Well, let me stop you right there. There's a few others that have done it and made it from other movies, like Trolls. They came out with their series. While it wasn't the same animation, it wasn't your
Right.
it was more of your 2D drawing animation. It did well. I like it. My kids like it.
Yeah, my daughter loves it.
But what you're missing here is Billy Crystal, John Goodman. They're supposed to be back
Right.
for the series. That alone is something big. When you move from voiceovers on a same thing, when you move movie to TV show, you will lose that. So if you're losing your voices for there that add that soul to each character, it might not be the same. But here you have them, and for them to come back on, there has to be something good in the script, or they're just throwing money at it.
Right.
One of the two.
Because when you look at Monsters Inc. and Monsters University, both movies had a very intense story, but I don't know if you can have such intense story from a series. I think this is going to be more geared towards kids. Huh?
The misadventures. I mean, that's pretty much what it comes down to with all of these is daily misadventures, things that happen. I mean, Trolls does this. A lot of the other shows that went from movie to cartoons do this. I mean, just look at your Lion King to
The Lion Guard.
Lion Guard, thank you. It's just their
that
daily
one was done well,
misadventures.
though.
And you're talking about Disney.
You got me there.
So if they've done it well with their cartoons, they can do it again.
So
I just wish they would make a remake of Timon and Pumbaa.
Oh man, so they got a Muppets series coming. It's untitled so far, but Disney tried a Muppets series in 2015 on ABC and it failed because they tried to make it basically the Muppets, but in the style of The Office, where it was behind the scenes of the Muppet Show, and it just didn't work with audiences. But they're bringing back the Muppets for a television series on Disney Plus. I know they did just bring back last year the Muppet Babies on Disney Channel. So I mean, Disney bought the rights of Jim Henson Productions, and they got the Muppets, and now they got to do something with it. They did 2 Muppet movies. They did all right, but now they got to figure out what else to do with this property.
Once again, they own the world. They own everything. But with the Muppets, I mean, it didn't work for certain audiences. I didn't like the movies too much that they came out with. But if you see how Netflix does it, there are shows which were canceled and Netflix picked them up because the fan base was strong. And the way streaming services work is not the same that live TV works. So you don't reach the same audiences. You don't reach... streaming services have a better reach, and especially internationally. So Netflix has been able to pick up on shows that were canceled elsewhere, or completely take them over, buy them out of whatever company they started with, and they're huge. Then they pick up an even bigger fan base on Netflix.
Right, and in your comparison to like on television compared to on the streaming service, another big thing you got to look at is on TV. A TV show usually runs 20 to 22 episodes a season. On streaming services, they only typically run 10 to 13 episodes on a season.
That's because they're taking the format of Prime Network companies like HBO, Show, Stars, which have always had a rough 10 to 13 episode season format. These are usually non-commercial interrupted shows, so they tend to be a full hour long. each show, and that format works well. You get to show a lot more without the interruptions, and they're not restricted by the same guidelines as your regular open networks are and your cable networks are. They have a lot more freedom because they're prime channels that, you have to pay for that service, and they offer different stuff versus your open networks and your basic cable networks, which have specific guidelines from the FCC.
Exactly. So I said there was multiple movies that were already done but ended up getting pushed to the streaming service, and one is Noelle. This is a movie starring Anna Kendrick. She's playing the daughter of Santa Claus, and that's all we know. I think Bill Hader's in this movie as well. And again, it was a movie that was completed, ready to go out in theaters in 2018. Disney got the rights to it and said, we'll wait and put it on our streaming service.
Now, once again, for references, when's their estimated release on this?
On the streaming service?
Yes.
Disney Plus is supposed to drop, I think it's November 12th, 2019. I could look it up to double check.
So almost a year later.
Yeah, November 12th, 2019. It will come to consumers on streaming services and streaming platforms.
So that's big for Disney to bite the bullet on this capital that they've thrown down for all these movies.
Not necessarily, because you could think, though, that other production companies may have made the movie, and then Disney got the distribution rights. So yeah, they put money down to get those distribution rights, but they may not have put all the money down on the actual investment to make the movie. Especially with some of these, like this Noelle movie, it doesn't look like it's one of those AAA big time movies. It may be more like a, how there was 21st Century Fox and there was Fox Searchlight. It could be like that, So then another remake. There's going to be a lot of damn remakes. They're remaking for the third time The Parent Trap.
You know what that says? That says that we're not original anymore. Society's given up.
Because you got the original from the 1960s, then you got the Lindsay Lohan ones, and now we got another Parent Trap. Here's my question. They finally change it up and do either two boys or a boy and a girl? It'd have to be two boys, the way the Parent Trap works, actually. So you think they would change it up and might finally make it two boys?
Probably not.
No cast, no director has been attached to the film yet. Now that's in like the very early stages. We've also got a Phineas and Ferb movie. We've also got all the Pixar shorts plus more Pixar shorts.
And then we got The Sandlot.
Yeah.
Can't forget about that one.
This isn't just a remake. This is turning The Sandlot into a series with some of the original cast reprising their roles as adults.
That is something worth watching then.
And Disney has already greenlit 2 seasons.
Interesting.
Because The Sandlot has that big of a following, they think that it will do well. Which, again, being on a streaming service, ratings don't matter as much. Yeah, it matters a little bit to Disney, but it's not like if the show's on ABC where we can see what the ratings is. If they don't put those numbers out, we'll never know how many people actually watch this Sandlot series on Disney Plus, opposed to how many people watch, say, Modern Family on ABC. We can know 24 hours after Modern Family airs how many people actually watch the show.
Yeah, so that's the other thing. Public versus these streaming services are able to hide and keep that guarded. Like Netflix doesn't give out an actual number of subscribers.
Unless it's huge, like what they did with Bird Box. They were like, 4 million people watched it in the first week.
Yeah, which is like the first time they've ever actually released an actual solid number for something.
But I mean, all you got to do if you want to know the television ratings of basically any TV show, all you got to do is go to a website called Showbuzz Daily, which I use this to get ratings for WWE shows. You go to Showbuzz Daily, and they'll tell you, they'll have within or less than, well, it's usually between like 15 to 24 hours after the show airs, they'll have the ratings from that last night unless it was a holiday or holiday weekend. You can just go on there and see what the shows actually did. So we've got another Disney movie, animated movie, being remade live action, Sword in the Stone. Which
That was a good
it
one.
was a good movie, but it wasn't one of the movies that like really. A lot of people forget that Sword in the Stone was actually done by Disney. A lot of people think it was done because I know a lot of people when I said, "Hey, they're redoing Sword in the Stone," Disney, they're like, "What?" I thought that was the same company that did like The Land Before Time,
Yeah, no, it was a
because it
Disney
wasn't
movie.
widely known as much as the other Disney movies.
It's
And then
not
they're all
it's not an iconic movie like your
right,
Lion King, your
exactly.
Aladdin.
Some of the other big things coming to Disney Plus, they're doing a remake of the 1988 comedy Three Men and a Baby.
Which again was a remake of another movie.
Was it?
Yeah, remake of a French
Oh,
film.
yes, it was a foreign film. That's right.
And then this version, this comedy version, was adapted to many languages because of
Yeah.
how great it was.
Oh, funny as hell movie.
Yep.
Disney Plus will have a number of docu series. They will have the entire Disney back catalog. Now, I have to say, they may not have the entire Disney back catalog at first, because if companies or other streaming services like Netflix still has time left on their contract, I don't think Disney can just pull it. Like, say, Hercules, for example, which I think may be on Disney Plus at launch. But,
It
for example, if the contract that because they pay Disney to have the Disney movies on Disney Plus. So if one of those movies, like, say, Hercules, for example, still has 6 months left on the Netflix contract, I'm not sure if Disney can just pull it since they got paid for the rights to have that on Netflix.
right. I mean, everybody knows Netflix has, hey, what's new this month? What's leaving
Right.
Netflix? This is essentially what it is. It's when your distribution rights for streaming purposes ends, then they take it off. They can't show it anymore, and that's the
Yeah, when it's
what's leaving this month that you find out about. And what's coming this month is the new movies where they acquired the streaming rights for or TV shows, and those are the ones coming on. And so, I mean, this is still my theory as to why Netflix was canceling all the damn Marvel shows that were so
I was
popular,
thinking the same thing.
is because they weren't going to have those rights moving forward, and they just didn't want to say it.
They didn't want to pay for it
Um,
because Netflix was the one paying for it because it was a Netflix
yeah,
original.
I mean, Daredevil and Punisher were massive. Iron Fist was a flop. Um, Luke Cage, they were all really, really well done. Marvel, um, its own little universe there that was. I mean, I loved it, and I'm pissed that they're not being made anymore. It makes me wonder: is it going to be picked up in future iterations with Disney Plus? If
It's
so, you're not going
possible.
to get the same. You're not going to get the same content.
But
It
here's
is
the
because remember, here's the caveat that we still haven't mentioned yet. There will not be a single R-rated
right. I
movie.
said that at the start,
Oh,
but
okay.
but if they want, they could push that stuff to Hulu.
Well, what about FX? Wasn't FX a part of 21st Century? So don't they own FX now and
I
FXX and
believe.
however many X's they keep putting on
Well, there was
their
FX
channel?
and there was FXX, which
Yeah,
basically FXX just is a TV channel that shows nothing but The Simpsons. Like every
yeah.
time I
Didn't they
see,
have? Oh, and they also had. Didn't they have FXM as well, which is the FX movie
yeah,
channel, where it's only movies?
yeah.
Okay.
So with having the Disney back catalog, that also gives you, I think, all of the Disney Channel original movies, plus most of, if not all, of the Disney Channel series, like Lizzie McGuire, That's So Raven, and so forth. So here's my question with that. A lot of those older Disney Channel shows and current Disney Channel shows are already on what's called the Disney Now app, which is where you can watch all the Disney Channel, Disney XD, and the Disney Junior shows. Whenever a new episode of a show airs on Disney Channel, that episode actually gets uploaded to the Disney Now app the morning of. So technically, you can watch it on the Disney Now app before it airs on Disney Channel. So I'm wondering if all of that Disney Now stuff will move over to Disney Plus, and if they will adopt that same notion of, hey, for example, that show, there's a new show they got called, I think it's like Sydney Max or Sydney to the Max or something. My daughter watches it. And new episodes come out on Fridays, but you can watch it as early as Friday mornings. Will Disney Plus adopt that new thing of, hey, Disney Channel or ABC? Because we don't know. That's the one thing they haven't said, if any ABC content is coming to Disney Plus.
Except for the movie, one of the movies or two movies that we mentioned were produced on the ABC but not released.
Right.
Except for this. Now,
will they adopt that? Will they adopt that new episode same day on their streaming service, or will they do the Netflix? Or will they do the Netflix season ended on ABC? Now it comes to the streaming service, because
since Netflix coined the binging seasons thing.
But with the Disney Channel service, with Disney Now, you get it day of. With the ABC app, you just get it the next day on the ABC app.
Well, here's the thing, too. You have to consider that a lot of people have live TV, which includes a Disney package to it. So they get the Disney Now app included in that. They can use the single sign-on.
You just have to log in with your Comcast, your Dish Network, or your DirecTV.
Right. So here's the thing.
You keep that separate?
This goes back to, are we going to... No, they can add it to both, because here's like what HBO does. HBO has HBO Go, which is through the TV provider, and HBO Now, which is a standalone. You don't need cable to pay for it, while it tends to be a slightly more expensive package, because usually TV providers will give you some sort of discount, like, hey, we're having a promotion, you can get HBO for $10 or for even $5 for a year or 2 years or whatever, if you sign on with us, versus it's $15 for the HBO Now. There's also some different. Right, and then this is another thing we might have to worry about too, that I've seen with HBO and some other apps, is not every app is offered on every device. There are limitations. So, for instance, HBO Go, you can sign in with your DirecTV or Comcast or College or whatever it may be, but it might not be offered to download and use on your PlayStation, or you might not be able to sign into it using that. It's strange how that works. Like DirecTV, for instance, I can't sign into the HBO Go app on certain systems using my DirecTV, but I can on others. It just doesn't show up. It says it's not for this, and I've looked it up, and I can't remember why the reasoning is, but it's part of the contracts and what they're willing to pay. Once again, it's money, 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 money. But back to this Disney Now app, they can have it on both. Those that have Disney Now, because their TV provider, can still have the Disney Now app, but then you're going to have the people that are paying for the bundled service, or that Disney Plus. This goes back to the question you had earlier. Live content. Are we going to get the Disney XD, the Disney Channel, the kids, all that? Are we going to get that live content included with Disney Plus, or is Disney Plus going to be strictly a Netflix type of streaming service?
Because when I was thinking live content, I was thinking like American Idol, which is on ABC now. And what they do, I don't know if you know this, what they do with American Idol now is they're live on the East Coast and the West Coast at the same time. You vote during the show, and then at the end of the show, they do the elimination. It's not like back in the day when one day would be everybody sings, and then the next day they do eliminations. No, it's all in the 1 2-hour show. So I was wondering if maybe they can have, if you have a cable provider, you get ABC, or even if you have an antenna, you get ABC, you can watch American Idol live there. Or if maybe some shows on ABC and Disney Channel will also air live on the Disney Plus service. Or if they have new shows coming to Disney Plus that can air live. Because I don't know if you ever listened to the Bobby Bones show on the radio. He's a country guy. He is a mentor on American Idol who has actually said that he's been pitched a couple new shows by Disney to host on the Disney Plus service. So could they have shows like American Idol that we already know they air live, but they could now bring shows like that over to Disney Plus and air them live, where you do have the, audience participation where you vote and eliminate people and this and that. So it could be interesting. But the last couple of things, we got the Pixar back catalog, but not all the Pixar movies, because some are still locked into like Netflix and stuff, like Coco. You've got the National Geographic catalog is coming over, since National Geographic was owned by 21st Century Fox. One thing that I do know that they're adding to Disney Plus is the documentary Free Solo, which is amazing. Have you heard of it?
No. Enlighten me.
It is a guy that rock climbs for a living, but he likes to rock climb without any cables. He rock climbed the face of El Capitan in 2016, and they documented the whole thing.
Okay, I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah, Free Solo. It's amazing, and we know for sure that's going to be on Disney Plus, because some of the screenshots we've seen of the UI do show the thumbnail for Free Solo. And then also, back catalog of 21st Century Fox. You've got Fantastic Four movies. You've got X-Men movies. You've got every episode of The Simpsons will be added. Possibly Avatar. I don't know. Were the Planet of the Apes movies rated R or not?
I want to. I'll look it up right now, but I want to say they were, because of the violence in there.
Because I would say that may be too much too violent for the quote unquote Disney service.
Right, like, okay, so no, they were PG-13 actually, were for Planet of the Apes, which was
that would work then.
Most recent one. Yeah, PG-13, so I guess it will.
So like we said, we got all the, family-friendly stuff from 21st Century Fox. And then whatever they do with all the other non-family friendly things with 21st Century Fox. But that's everything we can confirm that they have stated will be coming to Disney Plus when it does launch on November 12th, 2019. Crazy.
Now, I did have some in the back of my head here. You know how Disney makes a ton of money by releasing to DVD or Blu-ray their classics?
Right.
Well, where's that going to go? I mean,
the entire vault, which is their classics, it will be on. They said the entire vault will eventually be on Disney Plus.
So nobody's going to need to buy these anymore.
Because one movie that we can't get anywhere, the original, a Goofy movie, will be on Disney Plus day one. Many people have stated that in itself is worth a $6.99. Like the second movie, an extremely Goofy movie, is on Netflix. The first Goofy movie ain't on no streaming service. Ain't on Hulu, ain't on Amazon Prime, nothing, which is weird.
Well, it's on Prime for, once again,
$2.99. You can rent it, probably, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not like on, I load up my streaming service and boom, I'm going to watch it. Because it's just like the second Goofy movie, an extremely Goofy movie's on there on Netflix. But why can't they put the first? It's just weird.
Once again, though, it's all good when said and done. But I have to see it once it gets released because, once again, there's so much to see out there. And I'm a big anime person, so I also subscribe to Funimation. And I don't want to tack on another $6-7. Now, if they bundle it with Hulu, if they end up doing that, and they add an extra $10 to it, it's bundled into my app. It's bundled somehow. It makes it easier to get. I don't have to get another app. That's the other problem.
Well, you'll have to get another app for sure, even if it's bundled. You'll just have the same login information for both if they were to bundle it as we speculate.
Maybe not. Because remember, Hulu allows you to subscribe to HBO, Stars, all those, and watch it from the Hulu app.
Well, with a live TV or without the live TV?
Without the live TV and with the live TV.
Oh, okay.
Because they used to have they have this a la carte type of thing where you can tack on to your service
Gotcha.
these other
I
services.
just feel what we've seen with the screenshots and everything of Disney Plus, it's going to be its own, individual app, especially with how much there's going to be.
Right.
But I mean, everything on there from the Marvel stuff to the Disney stuff. And here's the other thing you have to think of. Everything that they've talked about as far as new original content, all the Marvel stuff, like the Marvel What If show, all the remakes, Father of the Bride, Lady and the Tramp, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. There's no release dates on any of that. So those can come November of this year. They can have some of those ready, like that Noel movie about Santa Claus's daughter. I could see that dropping immediately because November 12th, right into the Christmas season. But a lot of these other movies and other series, that could come a year later, 2 years later, 3 years later. We don't know. And that's the one thing you have to think about too is when this streaming service first drops, am I only getting all the old stuff? How much new stuff will I be getting? And a lot of people may say, well, I'll wait till enough new stuff is on there to subscribe.
Which brings me back to why Apple decided that they're going to invest in a lot of new content,
Yep.
original IP, exclusive to them prior to even announcing it, so that when they announce it, look, we have a ton of stuff.
And they didn't do anything without big names. So they got Reese Witherspoon, they've got Oprah, they've got Steve Carell, they've got what's her name? Jennifer Aniston doing a show.
Because they're seeing what Netflix has done, and they're seeing how they now have big names and how their movies are successful for the most part. And they're like,
Jason
we can do
Momoa
that.
is in a show about the world went blind and everybody in the world is blind. And like the world is changed, but nobody knows how it's changed because no one can see. It's weird. It's weird. But that's another streaming service for another day. It's a lot of stuff to think about when you think of Disney Plus, though.
Just understand they own the world. I'm going to continue saying that. They own the world. Disney is everything we grew up with, everything little kids grow up with nowadays. They now own, I would say, some of the most iconic franchises in the movie industry, which is your Star Wars and your Marvel. And side note, did you know that before Marvel decided to open up Marvel Studios, that they were going bankrupt?
Really?
Yes, and that they managed to get a loan to invest in Marvel Studios and do Iron Man, and that is what brought them back. They were on the verge because what they were doing was to stay afloat. They were selling off the rights to different studios.
Right.
That's why you have Blade, Spider-Man, X-Men, all of these different Marvel characters everywhere. And if it wasn't for Iron Man, we wouldn't have what we have today, and they would have been bankrupt. I mean, it's insane how they've grown, all because of Iron Man.
And remember, that first Iron Man was not distributed by Disney. It was Paramount Pictures.
Yep.
So with that, I hope you guys did enjoy this first episode of the Weebo and Director Show. Of course, in other episodes, we'll talk about more different topics. We'll talk about different movies. Maybe we can do here's an idea. We're gonna talk shop right on the air for you guys, some behind the scenes stuff. How about something cool we can do is every week, if there's a couple cool new trailers that drop for movies, we can kind of break down what we thought in those trailers. That's a subject we can hit every week. Because I know myself, when I listen to podcasts, I like kind of consistency in podcasts. Like, okay, I know every week these guys are going to talk about this kind of stuff. They'll bring me stuff that I'm not expecting, but also stuff I am expecting. So as the show grows and progresses, we'll come up with more ideas, and we also want your feedback as well, what you like and what you don't like over the next couple of weeks and months, and as we continue to go on.
Definitely, and we always welcome any questions as well. I mean, you never know if you're going to be featured on, if your question's going to be answered on our next episode.
Yeah, so I've been Tim Weebo. That's been John, the director. Thank you for watching this first episode of the Weebo and Director podcast. Have a great day or night, depending on when you're listening to this, and we'll see you
And
in
we'll
the
definitely
next
catch
episode.